It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Saboteur Z.
I'm here to talk about Guilty Gear. To start off, what character do you like? Could be because of lore, gameplay, or design. Any reason.
Let me preface this that my understanding of Guilty Gear is like cursory at best.
Uh-huh.
I watched like the cutscenes of I think Strive. I don't remember which title. And like one person's pretty good summation of the story from Soul Bad Guy's perspective, or at least focusing on his arc. I know what the backyard is technically, but don't ask me to like explain it with any degree of accuracy. That being said, of all the stuff that I have seen, I think my favorite thing of all is Happy Chaos's intro, because I feel like his self-introduction is just a summation of the wild nonsense that is Guilty Gear. Everything leading up to it, I think it's in Strive.
Yeah.
Here's this weird blue demon guy who hasn't really been fully introduced in the narrative as far as I know. It's like, who are you? And he just kind of makes this big grand pose and with the sincerest smile says, Happy Chaos. And I'm like, that is not a name. Not even by like Metal Gear standards. And they're expecting you to just take this at face value and run with it. You know what?
Yes.
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 Absolutely. I am on board. Just throw my hands up because I'm going to ride this roller coaster all the way to the end.
Yes. Guilty Gear has gotten even more insane since last time I really was more into it at the time. I'm a big Guilty Gear XX fan or X2 fan. But I've always been a pretty big, as far as like my favorite characters go, I've always liked Milia, and I've also always been a pretty big Brisket guy. Or Bridget, if you prefer, but nah, she's Brisket. So, yeah, those are my characters, but I still need to play Strive more than like the first fight. I need to get a lot further into it, and I'm slow on everything. What's up?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. While characters have always had themes besides Soul's Dragon Install in Xrd, Strive is the first time characters had lyrical themes which to talk about the character's lore, personality, etc. The question is, do you think this is a good way to deliver a story to a person, or do you think this only works in a fighting game setting? I mean,
in my personal opinion,
Sonic does it a lot.
Sonic does it, but it's secondary. It's ancillary. It's a supportive material.
Yeah.
And they really haven't done that since like the Adventure days for the most part. The notable exception being Infinite. But I feel now I don't know how Guilty Gear handles all of its lore delivery options, but I wouldn't advise making the personal themes or stage themes the primary vehicle. Number one, my personal bias is that I have a hard time picking up lyrics in songs anyway. I'm hearing songs that I, first came across when I was 2. And it's like, oh, wait, that's what they're singing about. Oh, I've been doing this wrong for 30 years. So that's my own baggage. But I feel like with a song like that, and you got so much going on in the fight itself, I prefer more traditional means of story delivery. Having it be a extra or like another aspect of it, that's cool. That's fine. That's fun. But I wouldn't make it the primary way of doing it.
Yeah. Happy Chaos and Asuka have been around since the start of Guilty Gear, known as The Original and That Man, respectively. In Strive, they both make their playable debut, so the question is, how do you feel about waiting years to finally get to learn all there is to a character? Doesn't have to be Guilty Gear, but another franchise could work too.
That is such a gamble. And when I was looking up Guilty Gear stuff out of just personal interest, And I forget which game it is, and I forget who the character was exactly, but by the end of it, she's defeated and she's like in a straitjacket, locked up in some white room, and she starts laughing about how happy chaos is on the way. And I'm going, what does that mean? Is that an event? Is that a philosophy? And then you get to, I'm going to say Strive because that's what I think it was. And Happy Chaos introduces himself. I'm like, that was a name. That's a character. That's a whole relationship that they seeded. And without any context, what is the long con that they are playing here? So, I mean, it's a ballsy move, and it belies a confidence in one's narrative and franchise to seed it like that. I feel like that when I approach something like that, I'm rolling the dice, and I've worked on stuff in much, much smaller scope. So, I just a tip of the hat to them for having something that ingrained that early and pulling it off.
Yeah. I thought the original was Faust. That's the name of his theme. Maybe there's some sort of connection there that I don't know about because I am woefully behind on everything Guilty Gear related. I should probably fix that. Strive has a fun way of showing an overpowered character story-wise in matches. For example, the vampires Nagoriyuki and Slayer don't go unconscious after losing, but more like lay on their side and smile at the opponent. And Happy Chaos, despite having a magic gun, uses a replica for his gameplay. How would you choose to represent an overpowered character in gameplay? You can name any examples that come to mind.
I think you named some of the best right there. Like Slayer losing a round and he just kind of flops down, kind of annoyed, like,
Yeah.
You've defeated me for this moment, but I'll get up later. It's like, that's such an elegant way of having your undefeatable character be defeatable.
Yeah.
It's excellent. Like, no notes, top marks. What else can you really say? I mean, maybe if you've got some kind of like wall of meat type of character, just one of those immovable objects, maybe if he loses the round, he just kind of stands back and laughs, amused and pleased with things are going. But that's the same general idea.
Oh, yeah. So like Potemkin?
Is that how he does?
I think so. Something like that.
Okay.
I think he do. I don't think he can be. I don't think he's invincible though. But I mean, he's a big wall of meat, man.
So, I mean, how do I improve upon perfection?
It's true. Guilty Gear has brought back characters to life before with Zato, who lost his emotions after coming back, and Romeo, or Bedman, with him being a literal bed now, with both having done horrible things before their death. When brought back, they tend to focus on one person, Milia and Delilah, respectively. The question, do you feel this limits their potential writing? For context, most of their own thoughts can only be found in their Strive themes. I want to say that, like, Guilty Gear is very weird, because it's literally a man who is a bed. I mean, you kind of take these things at face value. You're like, is that really what that means? Yes, it does.
And that's what kind of appeals to me, is that it's just completely unapologetic for what it is. It goes hard, and you're either on board or you're not.
Absolutely. Yes.
No hesitation, no nasal gazing, just here you go. You following? Too bad. All right. Heaven or hell, let's rock.
Exactly.
And so far be it from me to critique how they handle their characters. That may be the arc they want to do. It may be how they want those characters portrayed in the moment. And in Bedman's case, I mean, the fact that he's a sentient bed, maybe they download his brain into some kind of angel clone and he gets his full personality back in the next installment. Who knows? There's like literally nothing impossible. So I don't feel like it's really a hard limit, because they can do so much with the rules, fuzzy as they are, of their universe. That's the thing, is I don't understand it well. I will say that, but from what I do understand, the rules, as Calvin Ball as they are still there. There is still some internal logic that it's working with.
Yeah.
And as long as it works within those confines, they can do whatever. Now, having your character limited to, just an inanimate object and their emotional state only available through their character theme, yes, that is very limited, but that might just be the point. With the character in that state, there may not be a greater depth that they need at the moment. And if they want to expand upon that, I'm sure they'll find a way.
Oh, yeah. Let's do a fun question. Guilty Gear's lore has a lot of real-world elements built in, such as Bill Clinton being canon to Guilty Gear, and it just so happens that during the whole video games make kids violent time, he quoted a Guilty Gear ad, "Kill your friends, guilt-free." So, Ian, based on what you know of Guilty Gear, try to give your best explanation on how Bill could have read this same ad in the world of Guilty Gear.
Well, it says right here in this magazine, "Kill your friends, guilt-free." And I'm known to slay a fair bit myself, if you know what I'm saying.
Ah! Damn it, Ian. Guilty Gear Accent Core story is weird, since it's a super arcade where you perform in the match, where how you perform in the matches affects the story. Problem is, it's unclear what's canon and what isn't, such as when his soul had to fight his past self. Eno would kill his past self, and one ending Soul dies, and the other he basically shrugs it off like nothing happened and is sent back to his time, even though it should have killed him. So, Ian, based on what you know, how could Soul live? You can come up with an explanation you'd like. We're just having fun here.
Again, in my cursory understanding, we'll just say that he somehow tumbled backwards through the backyard and landed back in reality. And that just happened to pave over all the problems.
Yeah, that works for me. It's unclear what is canon and what isn't, huh? Yeah, that sounds familiar. Oftentimes, we don't question how a character can perform a move, we just say it's game mechanics. But today, we will! Enji Mito got a new move in which after a successful dodge with his spin, he can do a follow-up where he creates a stream of water and a koi fish flips out at the end of the move. His fans can only control wind for context, and Angie has never done any waterbending nonsense before, so give it your best explanation, Ian.
Well, clearly he's manipulating the air currents to draw all the moisture out of the air and concentrate it into that splash of water.
Well, there you go. I mean, it makes the most sense to me. I don't know where that water came from, like if you're on a stage where there is no water, but you know what? It's Guilty Gear. You don't have to explain it.
He's just that powerful. He finds all the moisture in the air.
Yes.
Right then and there.
And then
consecutively.
And then the koi fish, that just comes, that's just, maybe it's just like a representation of a koi fish. It's not a real one. Like it's a spirit, koi fish spirit. I don't know.
Easter egg for the next major antagonist. Happy koi fish.
Yes. We have chaos and we have happy chaos. Very happy. Happy Chaos was a good guy gone mad, knows everything about the universe, is stated to be neutral, he's immortal, yet he isn't a villain to rule the world. He just does these horrible acts because he wants to create drama. A story in which people overcome the story he creates, all for fun, even if he has to fill the role of the hero. Based on a little bit of what I've said, what do you think about him, and do you think a character like this could work in franchises you've worked on or created?
Oh, he'd fit right in with Sonic.
I mean,
at least the motivation.
That's, yeah.
Like, I am an antagonistic character creating a meta-narrative for Sonic and friends to get through in the end. Yeah, that would fit Sonic, no problem. Any of the, like, really more fanciful games, I could see that working as a Kirby villain, too. You know?
Yeah.
Kirby in a storybook world. There you go. The villain's writing a story to challenge Kirby, and is so pleased that Kirby wins in the end. Yeah. Kirby and the authorial intent.
Yeah. It sounds like he's kind of like a Mysterio type character, but not quite.
Mysterio's too grounded in comparison.
Well,
I think.
yeah. I know. I mean, this is Guilty Gear we're talking about. Everything's on a relative scale here.
But that style of character, that particular motivation, I think is not something you can lead with. That is a level of power and influence and even meta commentary that you need to save more for your back end narrative. But it is fun in that you can introduce these extremely high stakes and back off from them without completely obliterating your status quo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it took like 5 games and 20 years to get to this point, so
that is just insane.
Yeah. The fact that this franchise has managed to make it that long enough for all the little things they've been seeding this long to pay off is just awesome. Oh, and I got a good one from the chat here. Final boss theme is called Death of the Author.
Nice.
That is a good one. And our last question. Guilty Gear has several funny weapons like Soul's giant lighter, Gold Lewis alien in a coffin, or Angie using fans. So, Ian and Kyle, what would your weapons of choice be in this world? Remember, you were using magic, so have fun with any idea you got.
Do you remember that cheapo plastic toy, the Skip It?
Yes.
For those who don't know, it was, just a little simple plastic ball on a wheel that you hooked around your ankle and you spun and you would skip over it. And it had like a pedometer in it, so it would count how many times you managed to not trip yourself and fall on your face. So basically one of those, but attached to an oversized bowling ball. So I'd be kicking this thing at people, but the momentum would drag me off my feet. So I would be flying in as a secondary hit if I missed the initial. Also, the 3 finger holes on the bowling ball change shape to be an angry face or a laughing face or whatever as it goes flying around.
Yeah. So I've always been a fan of Eno's use of a guitar as part of her attacks, and I've always enjoyed that very much. But I am not a guitarist as much as I would like to be. I've never gotten to that point in my life. But I can play a pretty mean kazoo. So I will play the magic kazoo that causes all sorts of mayhem and destruction because, I mean, this is Guilty Gear. It's what you do.
I can see that. You're purely ranged. You're striking all sorts of goofy poses as you're going.
Exactly.
And summoning all sorts of audio constructs with your magic kazoo. No, I dig it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Besides, I wouldn't want to steal one of my character's powers. It's kind of her thing to use the guitar to do that anyway.
Oh, sure.
So I'll just do my own thing, which fits me better, I think, is having something stupid. And on that note, it's time to end.
Thanks to Sapatero Z for sponsoring this BumbleKast Mini. If you want one of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Catch you later.